All right. Hello, young men. It is January the 3rd of 2022. I think we're working on our third year to flatten the curve to get back to normal. Yay! The last couple videos I did were the books that I read in 2021. And this will be the update for 2021. What I read in 2021. Right around 100 books. And this is the last bit. This video is sponsored by my good friend Eric. This wonderful beer, Budweiser Nitro Gold. He wasn't a big fan, but this is a complicated beer. It's got instructions. You got to do 1, 2, 3. I don't know why. I think it's some SpongeBob-y technique thing. And you're just supposed to dump it. This is like some nitrogen Budweiser. I don't know. It's pretty smooth. If you drink it right out of the can, it's not that good. But if you do the whole 1, 2, 3 thing and pour it real hard into a big old glass, it's actually yummy. And this is a big glass. 2, 3. I don't know what that does. Might be just superstition. There we go. All right. So we're gonna have our one beer with the video. Skål. All right, that's pretty good. So we ended the last one with book number 60 in the last video. Number 60 for the year 2021 was The Men Who Walk Alone by T.J. Martin. Now that was really good book. All right, then I read Heinlein's book, Time Enough for Love. This is excellent. Lots of good wisdom, lots of good one-liners. Follows Lazarus Long, which is one of his characters that's in a lot of his books. Then I read Diogenes the Cynic. This is the copy I got. This is going to be backwards because it's on the phone, but it's Diogenes the Cynic. Awesome philosophical text. Then we were at Forever Free, which was the next book that came after Forever War, and then it was Forever Peace. So this was the omnibus. I finished this. That was really good. Then I read Jack London's The Iron Heel. This is a very good dystopian book, and it has nothing to do with sled dogs. It's good. It's really good. Then H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau. This was good. Read a bunch of Wells this year. Read a whole lot of Wells this year. It's all really good. Then it was Blake Crouch's Dark Matter. This is a fun sci-fi, multiverse story. And I read another T.J. Martin book called The Iridian. It's kind of like Casablanca in space. Very cool book. I read 2 short essays, The Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard and War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. These are great. Then I read Philip K. Dick's Valis. This book is kind of like cramming, attempting to cram 10 years of religious studies into a couple of days worth of reading. It can be a little overwhelming. I actually had to go through this book twice. But it's Philip K. Dick. Dick writes with the broad blade and penetrates deeply, and it always gets messy when you read him, but it's good. Then, after Valis, Where are we at? Oh, I read Dune Messiah. It's been about 25 years since I'd read this. Frank Herbert, it's really good. Wraps up the first Dune book very tightly. Then I read a Quintus Curtius translation of Tusculan Dispositions by Cicero. This is a new translation. It's awesome. And it looks like I read this in October. And get the hard copy. It's great. You can make all kinds of notes. I have notes at a minimum of, I'd say, every other page. Excellent book. Worth multiple reads. Then, after Tusculan Dispositions, The Garden of Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. This is the third book in his Rama trilogy. It sucked. Just read the first book. Not very good. But you don't know unless you give it a whirl. Then I read Frank Herbert's Children of Dune. Excellent, excellent, excellent book. On multiple levels. It's great. I finished the Dune trilogy, 6-part series by Frank Herbert this year. It's so fun to read because it's just chock full of philosophy and politics aside from the sci-fi aspect. The sci-fi aspect's the catalyst, and it's just the background. It's just chock full of philosophy and politics. Oh, it's great. You can get some good action and everything in there as well. All right, Children of Dune. Then, very depressing book, Ordinary Men. Ordinary Men, which explains how ordinary citizens can become good little Nazis and rat out their brothers and sisters and just say, well, I needed my paycheck, so I had to follow this stupid rule that I knew was wrong. Or I was following the law, or I was following orders to become a tyrannical, murderous monster. And it was all baby steps. This is a good book. Very good book. You want to read it. Then, when you read something that heavy and that rough and that fairly depressing, you need to go with something a little lighter. So, I went with Clifford Simak, Way Station. Just a fun sci-fi book about a Civil War vet running a way station for alien travel across Earth like 500 years later. Fun book. Very fun. All right, then, after Way Station, I read 2 Charles Bukowski books. Ham on Rye and Factotum. All these books, all the audio books are actually on YouTube and everything. The books themselves are good. They're rough. If there's a lot of, it just shows you the underbelly of society and humanity, and it's definitely worth reading. Definitely entertaining. All right, after Bukowski, I think if you're gonna read Bukowski, read Post Office. That's probably his best one. Although Pulp was good. Bukowski, where are we at? Muscle by Samuel Wilson Fussell or Fusil or I don't know. We're gonna go Samuel Fussell. The Book of Muscle. There you go. That sounds good. Confessions of an Unlikely Bodybuilder. This is a very cool book if you're a young man and you want to get that look behind the curtain of physical culture. Or you can be like me and spend 20 years and then hear all the stories after 20 years of meeting various people all over the continent. Or you read this book and it's actually very enlightening. It's a very quick read. It's fun. All right, after Muscle was Kurt Vonnegut's collection of, I think, speeches, and it's called If This Isn't Nice, What Is? And this is a collection of all of Kurt Vonnegut's speeches that he gave publicly. Very short read, and it's great. It's Vonnegut. All right, another Wells book, When the Sleeper Awakes. H.G. Wells. Revolution. Wells tends to talk about that a lot. Good book. It's always fun to read Wells. After Wells. Okay, this is out of whack. After Wells, we gotta turn this upside down. When the Sleeper Awakes, we have my favorite book in the Frank Herbert Dune books is God, Emperor of Dune, the fourth book. This is great with Duke Leto II, the immortal tyrant. Big time. This book is Machiavelli and philosophy and religion and everything all rolled into one. It's excellent. After that was, I want to say, American Pilgrim by Roosh V. This is a very interesting book about a man's search for trying to find his place in modern society when his whole paradigm kind of collapsed. Everything that he had built and worked for in the past crumbled around him, and now he goes on a cross-country road trip and visits all these cities, and he's looking for meaning and direction in his life. And he's doing it through God and religion. It's a good book. After that, well, after a religious exploration, we'll go to the hedonistic, Charles Bukowski and Pulp. This is a fun book. This is a very noir-y, Charles Bukowski. Read one of his books. You're going to know if you're going to like the rest of his books or not. All right, after Pulp, we have Alfred Bester's The Demolished Man. This is actually a cool book. The sci-fi book, winner of the first Hugo Award. And it is a neat book that analyzes criminal justice and the ideas of real rehabilitation versus, paying your debt to society. If you're completely irredeemable, how are they going to deal with that? Very cool book. Very cool ideas in this. You can only get it in sci-fi. This book by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, a Russian sci-fi book called Roadside Picnic. This is one of the, as far as sci-fi books, that dealt with, it's kind of a first contact book. It's really a human book, like all good books are, but it deals a lot with PTSD and class structure and being separate from society. This is a fantastic book. Even if you're not into sci-fi, this is just excellent. Then it was Eon. This is real similar to Arthur C. Clarke's Rendezvous with Rama, but it's not as good as Rendezvous with Rama. However, it is better than all the follow-up books in the Rama series. So this is kind of like Rendezvous with Rama, where you're off Earth doing a joint NATO mission, but you're steeped in Cold War politics between the Soviet Union and NATO. And drama ensues. It's a good book. All right, after Eon, we read Cormac McCarthy's, my second Cormac McCarthy book. The first one was The Road this year. This was No Country for Old Men. It's excellent. And the movie did a really good job. If you like the movie, you'll really like the book. There's no punctuation, so it takes a while to read McCarthy. He gets away with it. I guess they say, oh, he's eccentric, so it's allowed for him. Try writing like him in college, you're going to fail every fucking paper. But the story's excellent. After No Country for Old Men, we went with Ray Bradbury's The Illustrated Man. This is very cool. Ray Bradbury wrote Fahrenheit 451, and The Illustrated Man does not disappoint. It is a series of short stories, and Ray Bradbury is Ray Bradbury. Awesome writer. Check it out. Definitely worth it. The Illustrated Man. The Time of Changes by Robert Silverberg. The first book of his that I read this year. This is a dystopian book. And it's kind of depressing. But it's really good. Then, Arthur Schopenhauer. Good little philosophic essay from him. Not his massive work, but his writings are so dense. Kind of like old Frederick. This is barely 80 pages long. It took me a bit to read through it to make sure I got what was in it out of it. And I'm going to have to read it again. I took notes on just about every page. It's excellent. Arthur Schopenhauer, big thinker. The Wisdom of Life. All right, now where I'm at. So that puts me at 93, 94. The Odyssey. The Odyssey of Homer. Ulysses trying to get home to Penelope. Blinding Cyclops and listening to sirens and all kinds of greatness and slaughtering the suitors. Oh, it's good. Excellent. Read it. If you don't want to read it, listen to it. It's beautiful. It's poetic. It's a poetic masterpiece. The Odyssey. All right. And then I was finishing up. Like I said, I was finishing up Herbert's Dune series. The Heretics of Dune. It's not as good as God Emperor, but it's still a solid 7 out of 10. Very fun book. Then, I did another Bukowski book, apparently. Tales of Ordinary Madness. Well, that is a good title for a Bukowski book. He's pretty mad. All right. Now, we're almost done. We almost got through the books of the year. This is the first time I read this book. This is Ayn Rand's Anthem. This is fantastic. Read it. You can read it in one sitting, no problem. It's about 100 pages long. This edition comes with the original and all the notes and changes she made to tighten the book up. Really good dystopian book, but it doesn't have, it has a nicer, happy ending compared to The Time of Changes or Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. That is a very depressing book. Anthem is not depressing. It's good. It's good. Then I read Caesar, The Conquest of Gaul. This is very cool. Written by the man himself, and it is his account of all the conquest of Gaul and fighting the Germans, and oh, it's just fantastic. All the tactics in here, the politics between the tribes, establishing good relationship with tribes, and getting support, and the logistics, and everything in here. It's fantastic, fantastic. Highly recommend. And these little Penguin Classic editions are very good. I believe my Diogenes book was another Penguin edition. They're very nice. After Caesar, we needed a little bit more Dick, so we went The Martian Time Slip by Philip K. Dick. This is a fun book. Fun book. And for Philip K. Dick, it's still out there. It's still Dick. All right? He's still swinging his pen around all through your brain. However, this one is a little easier to follow. After that, I had read The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis. It's a great sci-fi book. It's sad at the end. It's kind of a tragedy of reality that gets in the way. And then, unwisely, after that book, I chose Robert Silverberg, who wrote A Time of Changes, this book. I read my second book of his, called The World Inside. This is as depressing as A Brave New World. It is a very dystopian book. And you just see these people get eaten up by the machine of a totalitarian society and bureaucracy. And it's fucking brutal. It's brutal. Definitely lessons to be learned in this book. And then, after that, the final book of the year was Frank Herbert's Chapter House Dude. And it was good. It wrapped up the series real nicely. Not the best. I'd say out of the series, if you like the Dune story, read up through God Emperor and you can be done. Or hell, you can even read up through Children of Dune and be done. God Emperor, though, is the icing on the cake. But it's good. So, that's the books I read for this year. We have roughly 100. Vanessa's got 102 down here. I don't know. I may have numbered them incorrectly. But you have everything from sci-fi, philosophy, history, just literature, ancient translations, philosophic works by Cicero, hardcore philosophy, Schopenhauer, Rand, Homer. A lot of the sci-fi is dystopian, so there's a lot of philosophy in a lot of the sci-fi books I picked out this year. And I learned a lot. And just like your body that needs training, so does your mind. So, all right, boys. I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. I hope you gave hugs and kisses to all your loved ones, despite what the politicians told you to do. Because God knows they don't want you reading it either. All right, I love you all. Bye.